Well, hello. I thought we'd do something a little different today and go over some lore. Many of you have expressed interest in this, how it all began, and I would love to share that with you. Now, helping us out, we have some visuals here. These are two babies that came in not long ago, and they are about the age that Pearl was when she first came to me. All right, so we also wanted to go over some names with you because I went back and the names that you sent in for Maple, there's so many wonderful ones. All right, so we have a boy, and the boy is going to be Poplar. Poplar was pretty popular. And then the girl, well, I wanted something maybe a little edgier, so I thought of Amazon Primal Scream. Amazon Primal Scream. It's really bad, isn't it? What do you think, darling? Do you want to be Amazon Primal Scream, or is it just too big a moniker? I think maybe it's a bit much. Okay, now listen to me because you are visuals, all right? You're set decorations. That means you don't improvise, okay? No, you just sort of stay put while we tell our story. All right, so this goes back to the early 90s, and I, Georgette Spelvin, was feeding the neighborhood squirrel like the rest of the neighbors, knew nothing about squirrels or possums or wildlife, and then one morning about 5 a.m. I hear this barking at my door, and I go out to see what it is, and there is the neighborhood squirrel. Everybody called her Shirley, but next to her was a baby about this size, but the back leg was just dangling. I don't know, it had been caught in a trap, maybe by a dog, but it was in bad shape. So never having touched a squirrel before, I just reached out and grabbed her because it was, instinct. And then Shirley looked at me, looked at her baby in my hand, and must have thought, my job here is done, and took off. And that was that. So I'm holding this little injured squirrel and didn't know what to do except take it to a vet, which I did, and had the leg amputated. Now, this veterinarian was an excellent surgeon, but didn't know much about wildlife and said, oh, she'll be fine, just take her home, and when she's healed you can release her. Okay, so I did, but then I learned that was not the case, that this baby was not going to be releasable. So I kept her for a few days, took care of her, and then I contacted a professional wildlife rehabilitator, explained the situation, and the woman said, it's okay, I'll take her, bring her over. And I did. And I gave Pearl to this professional, and I guess I felt a little like her mother, thinking, my job here is done, and I went home. Well, a few days later I get a call, and it's the rehabber, and she says, this squirrel will live, but she'll never thrive. She said, when a squirrel bonds with a single person, they can't bond with anyone else. It's a one-person deal, and I'm thinking, oh, right, I'm going to fall for this. But she said, please come over, help me remove the sutures. So fine, I went over, and the woman reached in to get Pearl, and Pearl just sort of screamed and went to the side of the cage and just didn't want to be touched. And she said, you reach in, and I did. Couldn't believe it. Pearl jumped on my hand, climbed up my arm. I could take her out, remove the sutures, nothing to it. Then she crawled up onto my shoulder and fell asleep. Well, I had a squirrel. And so, of course, I brought her home and proceeded to learn everything I could about wildlife rehabilitation, specifically small mammals, and specifically squirrels. Well, once you learn these things, once you know how to do it, you pretty much have to do it. So, because there really aren't enough of us, That's a hint for those of you who think you may have an interest. We can always use more professional rehabilitators. Anyway, I got my license, and that was in the 90s, and the rest is herstory. But fast forward maybe 10, 11 years, and I'm taking a class, a general class called Creativity, and one of the assignments was write a sonnet to someone you love. So I did. And I'm going to share that with you today because essentially it is the history of me, Pearl. Me, Pearl, when she was still alive and before she had become, you know, kind of crazy, ego-driven. Yes. All right, so with apologies to Petrarch and certainly Shakespeare and Browning, she was quite the sonneteer, Elizabeth Barrett Browning. All right, so this is actually a Spelvinian sonnet, and it goes like this. Are you up here? Oh, all right. It doesn't work if you're in the back. Well, okay, darling, you be where you want. What fickle tricks of goddesses propelled thee from the liquid amber tree, and with what cries unearthly did thy mother call to me, to let me know of thine infirmity? With mine own sleepy eyes I did so mournfully behold a torn appendage hanging loose, so cold, misshapen, and refusing use. For such a trusting infant I did reach, and did beseech thee, let me comfort thee, and hie thee to a faithful nurse, who wouldst with pure intention, and with knife, amputate this wicked curse, and spare thy blessed life. Relieve thee of thine misery, and let thine legs add up to 3. And thus thou wast entrusted to my willing outstretched hand, and now my home, my heart, my land, my everything belongs to thee. Oh, spoiled rodent, how quickly didst thou wrap me round thy furry fluffed tail, and chatter falsities of tenderness, and all the while thee left a trail of wreckage close behind. A dozen seasons now have come and gone, and still I thrill to thee. My home's become menage a noof. Oh, woof, 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 the others vainly call, for all would cherish, basking in the countenance I save for thee alone. Dear one, it was with joy and ecstasy I brought the forest unto thee. An apple tree brings thrice the happiness of any other fruit or foliage. My muse, take pity on my dearth of creativity, unearth the mystic sensitivity, the certainty with which I first touched thee. I held a jewel in my hand, a precious, trembling pearl, and that became thy name, my pet, and never once have I regretted loving thee. Forsooth, the truth I see, this wretched world became a sacred place when I didst first behold the face of thee. My darling squirrel. And that is how it all began, and the rest is her story. So, thank you for letting me share that with you. Until next time, bye. Bye-bye. Oh, did we come up with a second name for this little gal? I think I'm going to use Prunesy. That was one of the very first names you sent in, and it's quite wonderful. So we have Poplar and Prunesy, and they'll they'll be with us probably for a couple of months, so we'll keep you updated on their progress. Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.